Hi, welcome to Wasteland Sagas How to Play tutorial. This here you see in front of you is a character sheet for Wasteland Sagas. So let's jump right into it, okay? So we have our attributes right here, which is Strength, Con, Agility, Willpower, Charisma, Intelligence, and Technical Ability. Now ratings are normally 1 through 10, 1 being pretty low and 10 being very high. So obviously our character here, Gadget, he is a mutant, which means he suffers -10 to social skills with any pure human. Now the numbers you see below them, I'll get a little closer here, is for this here the strength is 40, so it's pretty much your attribute times 10. You'll be rolling that in a percentile. So for some reason he had to make a strength save, we'll say right here, and he just got a 37, so he just makes it just barely. He's not very strong, but he was lucky enough to make that save. Alright, so we have below here derived attributes. We have hit points, and 32 is actually pretty darn good. Your average typical thug might have anywhere between 15 and 20. Next we have the heal rate here, so he heals 3 points a day. Well, that's without any kind of medical attention. We have toxicity level. This is kind of like your hit points, but it's for your ability to handle radiation, mutagen, poisons, other kind of things that are toxic to the environment and things you ingest. This world wants to kill you, so you're constantly getting hit with this all the time. Defense. Now in this game here you can take it either two ways. Either you can take it towards a bonus towards your parry, your dodge, or you can take it towards a bonus to damage resistance based off either how strong you are or how agile you are. Obviously Gadget is more agile, so he went towards get a bonus towards his defensive rolls. Next we have move, so he moves 15 yards and around. He's pretty fast. Shock, he has only an 8, which is not great. Reason being is he has a negative mutation that affects that. We'll go over that in a minute. But whenever you're doing a shock save, you need to roll a d20. You roll that number or below. So if he takes a huge amount of damage, he might pass out. Alright, then we have initiative. Typically what you do is you roll a d10, add that to your initiative, so 5 plus 10 means he goes on a 15. If someone gets a 13, means Gadget would go first. If someone gets a 17, that person would go first, then Gadget go next. Okay, then we have your perception. This can be either hearing, sight, whatever. Certain benefits might boost certain things up. If you have like sharp senses for your sight, it might boost up your perception for sight, but not so much for your hearing. So anytime the GM calls for this, you roll that or below. So in this case here, I got a 67, not great. So he would have missed his perception check. Next we have damage bonus, which is added to your hand-to-hand or your melee attacks. He's not strong enough to have anything, but at least he doesn't have a negative. Then we have luck. These are points you can spend for in a few different ways. So let's say, for example, Gadget hits his target and rolls damage and rolls just all ones, doesn't like that. Okay, we're going to use these little plastic bullets here as a luck counter. So he spends that luck and all of a sudden his damage now is maximum damage for that. Once he spends it, it's gone until the GM rewards him for some more. The other ways you can use it, let's say for example I'm trying to make a skill and I miss it by say 5%. Well, I really don't want to miss defusing some bomb. Well, I'm going to spend that to give myself 10 points in my favor. And finally the last way, let's say that he takes a ton of damage. Not really liking what he gets. Doesn't want to make a crappy shock save. If he spends this, he can cut his damage in half. And that's how you can spend luck. Alright, now let's go on to skills. As we said before, you have skills in two different categories. You have skills which are percentile, and then you have non-level skills, meaning you have them. We'll cover that in a second. So in this case here, he has ancient lore of 70. It means he's used to digging around in the ruins and examining things, and well, that's probably why he got the name Gadget. So if say for example he gets some item someone brings to him and wants to know how that works, he simply rolls his dice. In this case here, got a 19, he well makes it under 70%, not a problem. Now let's skip on down here to something like navigation. He's not the best at getting out in the wilderness. He probably usually has other people kind of leading the way around. So in this case here, I roll, and holy crap, he got a 0-6. Okay, so he managed to know where this place was, happens to get there. Not too bad. So I'm sure you're with me so far. So we skip on down to non-level skills. You'll see things like animal handling, cooking, crafts, escape, factions, always be covered in the book. But long story short is, if you have it, by the check mark on there means you know it. You don't really need a roll. If the GM feels that a roll has to be made, you could call for a save under your attributes if need be. Okay, next we have weapons listed. In this case here, Gadget has a medium pistol and has 12 shots, rate of fire 2. He has a skill of 53%, he's not bad, and damage of 3d6. When we do the combat, we'll go over that and you can see how all that works there. Armor, he has studded leather armor, which gives him 4 points of protection. So whenever he takes damage, let's say he takes 10 points of damage, mark off 4, he takes 6 instead. Now since he's a mutant, he does have some positive and negative mutations. He has Displace, which means he can actually switch places with a bad guy once with that action. We can go over details of that in the book there. He also has a thing called Detachable Eye, which means he can actually literally take his eyeball out, place it somewhere, and view through it remotely. Kind of gross, kind of weird, but he's a mutant. It's kind of cool in some way. Finally, he has Confuse, which he can actually try and do a mental attack on somebody and confuse them where they're, well, just contemplating breathing right then. Now his negative issues he has Photodependency Minor. Means he can't really be stuck indoors too long, too often, otherwise he starts to take damage. And he has increased pain receptors, thus why his shock is not exactly great. So it means he gets hit, it hurts him some. Alright, then we have benefits and weaknesses. Now a lot of these are already figured into his character here. We have Advanced Thinker, which gives him extra points towards certain lore skills. Literacy, he can read English and Mutant. Yeah, there's different languages in this game. Then we have Professional Talent, Child of the Wasteland, which means it gives him certain skills as far as being out in the wastelands. He has Wealth, means he's got a fair amount of stuff he starts off with, and some money. Weaknesses, he has Enemy, the Untainted, which is a bad group. They don't like mutants, they like to hunt them, and they hunt him often. He must have done something to piss him off. He's got Major Curiosity. You know, if there's a red button, he probably wants to push that darn thing. He also has BioWare rejection. So if for some reason BioWare was actually made available to him, he can't take it, his body just rejects it. And he's stubborn. He's a bit pig-headed person. Then we come to combat techniques. We have Pistol, he has Careful Aim, and then he has Blades, which means defensive strike right there. Now, in the game, depending on how well your skill is, you can take either 1, 2, or up to 3. In his case, he only has a 53% in pistols, which means he has only 1 combat technique. So from the list, he picked Careful Aim. The same goes for Blades. He took Defensive Strike. These will all be covered in the book as well, okay? But they are pretty cool and help out during combat. This way, the guy next to you might have different techniques, so they're not all the same, they have different options. Last, we come to languages. Due to his intelligence being a 7 means he has 2 languages he can speak. He speaks English and he speaks Mutant. Alright, that kind of covers it in a nutshell and a quick overview. There is much more to the game, but that gives you an idea of how this works. Stand by and we'll show you how combat works.